Tonight, England face Spain in the Nations League at Wembley Stadium. In anticipation for the game, we discuss how the draw with Portugal is worrying for England, how the Lionesses will line up against Spain, and whether there is any chance of a result against the reigning world champions. This is our England versus Spain preview. Alright, let's get into it then. England versus Spain at Wembley Stadium as part of the Nations League. Obviously, we come into this game off the back of a draw with Portugal. If you haven't already seen our review of that game, do go back and watch that before we get into today's preview. But today, Harry, England-Spain, this is a really important game given the context now of the group.
Yes, very much so. A massive game nonetheless. Two sides that have played each other numerous times over the year. World Cup final, obviously, being most recently. So it's going to be a really, really good game no matter what happens. I think that, as you say, with England drawing their first game in the Nations League, it does put a lot more pressure on this Spain game, especially because this Spain game is at home. So for England, it's paramount they get a result if they want to stand any chance of topping the group. For Spain, they're going to, well, I think they got pretty fortunate on Friday to beat Belgium. How they won that game, I don't think I'll ever know. Losing in the 93rd minute and managing to win the game is absolutely absurd. So fair enough to Spain, they won that game, but they will have to. Both sides have got to play better. If both sides play like they did on Friday, we're in for a really bad game.
Well, I think it's been an overall problem for both teams. I think since Tomé's come in at Spain, they haven't looked as good as they did before. And, well, before they didn't really have a manager. So maybe just go back to that system. Yeah. They'll be fine. They're such a good team. But England, I still remain adamant that since the Euros, we haven't been at that same performance level. I don't even think at the World Cup where we reached the final and lost to Spain was a particularly good tournament. I think we had a very nice run in that tournament, and there weren't many performances there where I'd say we were at that elite level. So I think it's a tough one. But Portugal, really disappointing result, really disappointing performance, which I think is the more worrying aspect of it. The fact that in the second half, we just didn't offer much at all in attacking areas. So this does fill me with a bit of fear going into Spain because it's going to be a really tough game. I do think the fact we have home advantage is going to help. I think there will be a slight tweak to the tactical setup. I imagine, we spoke about this on Monday's video, but I think we will likely see England go back to the three-back. Yeah. Because we saw that work against the US. It didn't work against Germany, but we have seen it work against the US. So I think we'll switch back to that. It'll be interesting to see who plays. I think that, well, what do you think? Earps or Hampton, who do you think will start and go?
I think it's a really, really tough one to call, but I think the decision will show us where Wiegman is at with the goalkeeper decision. If we see it's Earps again, then it for me that would suggest that Earps is going to be favoured coming up for the Euros later this year. If it's Hampton, then I think it shows that
we have no idea.
We have no idea. She's still playing one in each game. The fact that if it is Hampton, the fact that she got the bigger game would potentially suggest that she's number one in Sarina's mind right now, but it's really difficult to tell. The only person that knows who's playing in goal right now is Sarina Wiegman, and I'm not sure even she knows.
I was going to say, yeah.
It's a really, really tough one to call. I would expect it to be Hannah Hampton, as we've seen in the most recent international breaks when we've played the likes of the US and Germany. Hannah Hampton has played those bigger games, so I do think that I expect Hampton to be in goal. But if Earps is in net, then I think that also, I mean, it's not a bad thing. She's a bloody good goalkeeper, but
I think the difference between the two is very marginal.
Yeah.
It depends on what you want from your goalkeeper, but I think they're both excellent shot stoppers. I think normally Hampton is better in terms of distribution. This season that hasn't really been the case. I think Earps is a slightly better shot stopper. So it just depends. I think it'll be interesting though to see who plays in this game. In terms of defence, if it is to be a back four, how do you think that will line up? If it is to be a back five or back three, depending on how you want to describe it, how would you expect it to line up?
I'm hoping it will be a back three. I don't think the back four for England works. We don't know why England played a back four against Portugal.
We got played through way too easily.
The last couple of months, England have used a three back. So I don't know why you decide to change it up. It didn't work. For the Spain game, I'd expect to see a three back. I would presume with especially with Greenwood being out, I'd expect to see Bright and Williamson stay in, and then probably Jess Carter will come in as that left centre half, which I'm not an incredible fan of, but Sarina clearly trusts Carter.
I think Carter will play the same role she played against the US WNT, where she played sort of the central centre-back role and then pushed into midfield and build-up.
Maybe.
And that just allowed Walsh to be a little bit higher, and it will allow whoever's alongside Walsh in the pivot, whether that is Clinton or Mace, to be a little bit higher as well, which will be beneficial. So I think Carter could play that middle centre-half role. I think Letizia should be starting. For me, over Williamson, over Carter, over Bright at the moment, to be fair. I think Letizia is such a talent, and that's just not recognised by the England team, which I don't really get. I do think she'll play right back here, though, because we saw Lucy Bronze come off after 45 minutes. I think there will be international instructions there from Sonia Bonpastor. We are in the last, we're in the last chance of the season. We need Bronze. Don't overplay her. So I think Letizia will possibly be the right wing back for this game. In terms of left wing back, I don't know who they're going to put there if it isn't Niamh Charles, which Charles played the full 90 against Portugal. If she has to play another full 90 because we just forgot to take another left back, I will be annoyed. Because we already saw how she almost got injured when Amado put in a horrible tackle in the Portugal game. I think it's weird that Gabrielle George hasn't gone.
Yeah,
because she could have played the Portugal game, Charles played the Spain game, or something like that.
It's a really weird one. I feel for George again because, on a similar note to Letizia, had a brilliant season at Man United. Obviously, different since Letizia has been called up. But for England, the only other options that we have seen would be Beth Mead playing left wing back, which could happen because she didn't play the Portugal game, so she could come in on that left-hand side and play as that left wing back.
Well, Mead's not in the squad, is she? That's it.
Oh yeah, good point. Yeah, I forgot about that. That's why she didn't play the Portugal game. But yeah, that is the problem because England's left wing back options aren't there, and that creates a real conundrum. You're not going to play. Carter can't play wing back. Not for me. Obviously, I know Wiegman put her there. Will put her right back against Portugal. She can't play full back. It's as simple as that. She can't play full back, let alone play wing back. So I feel for Niamh Charles because with no Beth Mead, with no other left back being called up, I think she's going to have to play another full 90, which is difficult.
Yeah, no one from a Chelsea perspective, nobody wants to see that happen. But it'll be interesting to see who plays there. In terms of midfield, I don't see a way that Kira Walsh, again, I wish you didn't have to play both matches. I wish you didn't have to play at all. I don't know why Ruby Mace didn't play Portugal, at least alongside Walsh. But Walsh will start here. If it is to be a two-player midfield, who do you think will be alongside her? Will it be Grace Clinton? Will it be Ruby Mace? What's that?
I don't see Ruby Mace coming in for a game like Spain, which, as you say, it's a bizarre one because if Sarina thinks the same as we all do, then why would you not play Mace against Portugal? But yeah, I'd expect to see Clinton in there with Walsh, unless it's a really, really difficult one because I still don't think that's an ideal option. I don't think there is an ideal option without Georgia Stanway, but
which is a worry going into the Euros. Mace hasn't been given opportunity, and if there isn't any Stanway at the Euros, and we go in with the midfield pivot of Clinton and Walsh, that is a concern for me. Because I don't think that has the balance that Stanway offers you in there, or that Ruby Mace would offer you. And I think Mace is slightly more defensive than Stanway or Clinton, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. We keep getting played through like we don't have a midfield. So I think there is a huge problem there. But as I say, if it is to be a three-back, I think it will be Clinton, and alongside her will be Claire Walsh, of course. If it is a midfield three and we're playing a 4-3-3, I think Toome will keep a spot in that attacking midfield role, which I don't understand. I don't think she was very good on Friday night. I think the fact that wasn't noticed sooner and Lauren James wasn't moved central sooner was really weird for me.
Yeah, the thing is, I agree. I don't think Toome played particularly well on Friday, but she is playing well overall. She's been in incredible form for Man United. We haven't seen it in England shirt since the turn of the year, but equally these are the first England games. I
haven't seen it in an England shirt since the Euros.
It's I think that as much as she didn't play well, for me that was a one-off game, as you said. I expected her to play. But again, her problem is if it is a two-man midfield, then I can't see her playing in that midfield. If it's
a three-back, I don't see where Toome fits unless she's shoehorned on one of the wings,
which we've already seen at Man United just does not work. But no. I think, obviously Mace could play, and that would be a huge kind of message to that clearly Sarina thinks Mace is good enough to play against any opposition in the world, which would say a lot, but I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, well, it show a message that she's actually considering players who haven't been the national side a whole lot, which would be nice to actually see that difference. But yeah, I don't think that's what's going to happen, unfortunately, which is a shame. But that's how Sarina has chosen to roll throughout her career, really, sticking with who she knows, sticking with her favourites. I mean, we saw it in the Portugal game, not to dwell on it too much because I've already done a video on it, but Chloe Kelly coming on in that game makes no sense. Wiegman said at the start of the international break she's not played enough to deserve a call-up. She came in because Smith-Mead was injured, fair enough. Yeah. But how is she then the first sub when you need a goal? That's your point of call. I find that really weird, especially with the other options on the bench. But alas, it's going to be interesting. In terms of the front three, surely Lauren James, surely Alessia Russo, but who else?
I think it's a really bizarre one because, again, the strongest front three played Portugal, and I find that surprising to me because why would you not surely against Portugal you'd start Naz, maybe you'd start Paris, and then you'd play
at least bring them on.
Just give it for me. It's going to be bizarre to watch the likes of Lauren James and Russo play 90 minutes, and it's not against them. They're both playing very, very well. They're both extremely good players, but when you have an international break, why would you're giving the majority of team are going to play 180 minutes, which is very, very rare to see. I would be.
It is Euros prep though, and this is the Nations League, which is an important competition. I think England will want to be at the next Olympics, and so they've got to win a Nations League at some point over the next 4 years, or finish second to Spain if Spain win all 4 of them. But I do agree that there is a bit of, if I was a manager of one of the top WSL sides who my players have gone, I wouldn't be happy with my players playing 180 minutes of football over the space of a few days for England.
I think that the again, it's a really bizarre decision that she's going to have to make in that front three. I think Russo's nailed on because she's been incredible and was probably England's best player bar Lucy Bronze on Friday night. I expect Lauren James to play, and it'll probably be Jess Park again on the right hand side, but it's unless you're going to play Clinton on the right and bring Mason to midfield, I just don't see. I think it's going to be a very similar. Apart from the slight shape change defensively, I think everything in front of that is going to be pretty similar to what we saw against Portugal, which is it's unusual to see. But as you say, I suppose that Wiegman wants to get consistency building with this England side, but equally, if that consistency is leading to poor results, then it doesn't matter. So hopefully, even if they don't start, I'd like to think that we will see Paris, we will see Naz, we will see other players get introduced into this game to try and change things up, because only bringing on Aggie Beaver-Jones is another one. I guess Aggie Beaver-Jones could start somewhere in that front three potentially, but I'd be surprised. I think that
but it'd have to be through the middle for me, and I don't think Alessia Russo gets benched in her current form. No. But again, it just comes down to the weirdness of the Portugal game, because Nikita Paris didn't get an opportunity in that game. Jessica Naz didn't get an opportunity in that game, and I would be surprised if either were thrown directly into the Spain game. Potentially Paris. I think Paris was good enough to start. She's a quality player, but I just don't think that's what Sarina Wiegman is going to do. I think she's again going to prefer her favourites. I wouldn't be shocked if Chloe Kelly started on the right wing.
No, that would be a show of real poor management. If Kelly is starting or getting more minutes, I think it would reflect badly on Sarina, because it would mean that she's completely gone back on her word in the space of a couple of days. And that one would surprise me.
I think if you're Nikita Paris and you've been called up to the England squad and there's this expectation you're going to get at least a minute. And then Chloe Kelly, who has, by the manager's own admission, not played enough football to deserve being there, is playing more minutes. So I find that there's some really odd decisions going on with England. There's still a lot of time to the Euros, so I'm not panicking just yet. This game, I think, will show us a lot. Again, I don't think Spain are at the top of their game right now. The Belgium game was not a great performance from Spain. Of course, they got the result over the line. This is Spain we're talking about. But I think it's going to be interesting. Spain are a very good side on paper. Whether or not they will bring that performance remains to be seen. They were, as I say, they weren't tip top against Belgium. Admittedly, it was a rotated side. I think once Paraluelo comes back in, once Alexia Putellas comes back in, once
she's not there.
No Putellas.
No,
She's injured again.
Yeah, which is a shame for her, but for England, that's a slight positivity. But the main thing for England is that if a Spanish player gets the same space that Keegan Nazareth got when she came on Friday night, Spain will run riot. Like, if you give that space to any of the Spain front six, they will score that exact same goal that Nazareth did every single time, because they're Spain, they've got some phenomenal players, and they do score worldies.
Yeah. At least, though, hopefully Oa Harvey won't be playing and it will be Olga Carmona, because then our right winger may have a bit of joy when attacking. But yeah, Spain beat Belgium eventually 3-2. They were losing 2-1 until the 93rd minute. They went on to win that game 3-2. And that is the stark contrast right now between Spain and between England. England were 1-0, and it didn't feel like in the last 15 minutes plus stoppage time that England had any intent of going to score a goal. Spain were losing 2-1 to the 93rd minute, and they won that game of football.
Yeah.
And that is the difference between the two at the moment. So, yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting game. I think it's going to be interesting to assess where England are in relation to Spain. But I think we are still so far away from the tournament that it's not a pressing matter if this isn't a positive result.
Yeah.
It's just the manner of the result. If we get torn apart, it's going to be a real worry.
Yeah, if it's a close game and it goes either way, I don't think it tells us much. If one side wins it 3 or 4-0, that is suddenly alarm bells. And I don't think it'll be England who are winning 4-0.
Yeah. Should we give some loose predictions? We'll give our proper... Well, we probably get the same predictions as we will later on stream, so do join us there. But we'll give predictions now as well. Harry, what do you think?
I'm gonna follow a similar kind of thought to the USA game. I think it will be a draw. I think England will sit a little bit more defensively in that 3-back. Potentially might look like a 5 at times, but I do think that England will sit very defensively. Spain, they'll probably be the side. They'll have more of the ball. They'll have more chances, and England might have to ride their luck a little bit. But I think it'll be a point to either side here. Neither side will want to give too much away. It will be I think it will be slightly conservative from both teams. So I'm going to go for an even result, a 1-1, either a 0-0 or a 1-1. I don't see it being a high scoring affair.
Fair enough. I think Spain are going to win because they're a really good side.
And
enough. That'll probably change by the time you tune into tonight's stream. I'll probably be wearing my England shirt, waving a flag and talking about how Russo's going to score a hat-trick. But if I'm giving a serious prediction, I'll go England 1, Spain 2. I think we'll still get a goal, probably through someone like Russo. But Spain's quality will ultimately overwhelm us. I think there is a gap at the moment between the two sides. Hopefully that is bridged before the Euros, and it could be bridged in this game. But I think if we're looking at it rationally and logically, I think Spain will take this one.
Yeah,
and
definitely
win the Nations League, because that is what they do.
Good guess, that.
But yeah, so that does round up this preview for the game. Join us this evening for our coverage of England versus Spain. We'll be doing a live watch along from 1:45, which will be hopefully a very good game of football.
Yes.
So yeah, join us there. That was everything from us today. Go and check out another video that will be on screen now if you haven't already. That was everything. Thank you guys very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.